Hello, hello. It is January 1st, 2025. 2025. Man. Oh, man. So grateful to have made it to another year. Oh, man. Lost a lot of people in 2024. Yeah. Found out another family member passed away recently, like within the past 2 days. I'm just like, man, this 2024 was a lot in that way. So I'm appreciative. On my way to head for a run this morning. I've never been the kind of person that would to create New Year's resolutions. I think my version of that is just setting intentions. Setting intentions for the day, the week, the month, the year. For me, like making sure that my thoughts are organized in a way that I'm vibrating at the right frequency, that I can attract the things that I wish to attract. That's where my energy goes. Just working on being more intentional and being conscious of the vibration and energy I'm on. I talk about energy a lot because energy exists in the world. The world is full of energy. Found a penny. Energy attracts things into your life. This year, I think, just like everybody else, working on health, wealth, finances, those are the general categories when people do make resolutions, tend to focus on those areas. And I guess in 2024, what I learned or rediscovered or needed to remind myself was that whatever I'm doing, consistency is important. It is so important. And it's hard to see the results day to day of the things that you're working on. You got to be able to just take proper action over time, and you see results. And I've definitely noticed that within the context of exercise, right? And everybody's at a different fitness level, but it's important to move every day, no matter what your goals are, your plans are. Just to very basic movement is important. If you can move, if you have the ability to move, it's important for your body to move, but I noticed just from setting the intention and creating the habit of walking every day and then running a lot of days, I noticed some transformation. So that was like an aha moment of 2024. It's just like, oh, okay, I can actually see the changes that I made based on the activity. So my level of consistent activity actually created results that I could see, even if other people couldn't see it. And I know some people did. Like when there's certain people I haven't seen in a while, notice that there's a change, that whatever, I lost weight, or for me, I don't know. I just want to have a certain level of fitness, being able to move, just like to keep mobility. And I need to discover new ways to work on that specifically. I enjoy running. Right now, running is not easy. It definitely takes a toll on the body, I know that. But it also feels good to do it as well. So, it was just something that I had to discover and try out for myself. And if you are starting a new exercise program, obviously with recommendations from your doctor. If you are starting some kind of new physical activity, sometimes you got to give it a little time in order to really experience the results and benefits of whatever it is, and to kind of listen to your body always and pace yourself. When I was taking hot yoga for the first time, that first class was definitely intense because my body was not used to having that experience. And I've met a lot of people who've tried hot yoga and they're like, nah, this ain't it, or, it wasn't for them. And for some of those people, they might have gone a couple times and found something else that made them feel better. And everybody's different, to each their own. I don't knock anybody's fitness regimen or choice of exercise. But I do know that if you are trying something new, sometimes it takes time for it to really feel the benefits of it and to see an improvement. It was like that for me with running. Like, I couldn't run at all when I was first starting out. The goal was just to walk. And then I was like, all right, can I jog for a little while? And I was like, man, jogging felt tough. And then every day, over the course of 30 to 60 days, kept showing up. I was like, oh, I feel like I have better circulation, more energy. It's exhausting, but it's also like, after, hours after the run, or when you're in the routine of increasing the activity, your body, has a greater capacity for it. It was like that for me when I was jumping rope during the pandemic. I was looking for just what kind of movement can I do. I wanted to be outside more because I was always indoors or whatever. Jumping was hard those first 3-4 weeks. There was a moment where I had to take a break because I felt like, my foot or ankle were sore, just like wasn't used to the pressure of jumping. But, I listened to my body, took a couple days off, and then when I felt pretty decent again, I tried again. And then from that point on, jumping rope consistently, that it felt good. And then over time, again, saw the benefits of that as well. So, as someone who, years and years ago had a very sedentary lifestyle, working in a corporate environment, and, a lot of people might have a desk situation or working a job where they don't get to move around as much. But you got to make the time for it. It's hard when you're working, especially if you have no experience with how it feels. If you have no experience with feeling the positive benefits of exercise over time, it's just, once you experience that, then you have a mental reference of what can be, and it's like, oh, you realize the suffering that you might be experiencing in the short term may not always be the case, like, especially if you haven't done any kind of movement in a while. So just keep that in mind, for those who are starting out January 1 at the gym. It's like the most popular time, biggest business for the gyms this time of year. And then people tend to fall off after February, March, the months go on. They don't stay consistent. And, I've been one of those. I've been in that category too. There's no judgment. But I'm also now conscious of those kind of things. So for that reason, I basically, if I'm creating a new habit, or especially around movement or exercise or whatever, and I'm using, the beginning of the year as a marker, I tried to get started a week or two before, So consciously knowing that, there's a drop-off rate, or people quit on themselves, or, just life starts life, and, you have to develop the habit and the mental awareness of like, oh, okay, when you miss a day, it's like, oh, I missed a day, and then the day becomes 2 days, 3 days, and you're like, oh, okay. But you can always restart, I go through cycles of that as well. So it's just, you got to be able to just give whatever you're doing time. And that sort of awareness or discovery for me in 2024 bring into 2025, I'm trying to apply that to other areas, right? To career, finances, all of those things, which I'm also working on. It's about showing up. It's about that consistency. There's something to be said for showing up consistently, taking action over time, you know? It's like, you know, the tortoise and the hare, and, you know, it's like that kind of thing where it's like, yo, you know, that consistency, not quitting, not showing, not, you know, not giving up. And sometimes, some days, progress is, hey, I'm gonna walk to the park and back. And some days you're running your personal best, you know? But it's that consistency of effort and time. That's everything. So I try to be conscious of that too. It's so hard to not think long term, but even as you're dealing with the day to day, it's like you gotta have an awareness of where you're ultimately heading, or find whatever methods or ways that you could do that, of just like staying present, but you're also realizing, okay, cool, this is the direction where I want to go. I don't know, in my mind, I like to like go back and forth between future thinking and present thinking, you know, and thinking about activities connected to habits as well. And, you know, there are people who are, you know, have a more successful career than I do in performing and acting. There are people who are in better shape, and I'm like, okay, having proximity to those people are great, or just like access to, you know, if you can't have proximity to people who are good role models for what you want to do in your career or in life, you know, that's why I listen to audiobooks, watch videos, read biographies, you know, just like I put myself mentally in proximity to people who are practicing the habits and behaving in the ways that have the results that I want to have in the future. Those things are important. You got to be able to, you know, mirror and adapt those habits and the mindset that people have. And that's something that you could work on. You could set intentions. Again, it comes back to where you put your energy. So if you want to achieve a certain result that somebody that you have proximity to has, you know, just observe, well, how do they spend their time? Do they have a morning routine? How do they think about the career or activity? You know, sometimes people have a point of view that's just different from other people. What do they visualize? What are the words? What language do they use when they talk about whatever it is that they're doing? What words don't they use that you never hear them utter or say? All those things are important and kind of contribute to a person's mindset, to a person's behavior. And that's why I personally love the career of acting or studying acting, because when you're playing a character, you need to understand and ask questions. Why does a character say a certain thing? Why does a character make certain choices? What makes them tick? And those types of things can be learned, absorbed, incorporated, and adapted. And I think about this a lot, particularly with acting. I see that there's some people who have, you know, there's some people that are working and some people that aren't. And, you know, the acting industry is a challenging one because you have a very small percentage of people that are working at a really, really high level, making great incomes and able to sustain themselves. And then there are folks that struggle for their whole career. And, you know, some of it is luck, but some of it is also, you know, what skills do people have? How do they build relationships? How do they do their work? What's their approach? You know, there are things that are out of your control, like, I don't know, genetics, but even that, you can change your movement and activity to have greater mobility by working on it. It's like, what are the things that you can control and take responsibility for? And that's something like I'm constantly working on. Yesterday I started listening to an audiobook by Mel Robbins called Let Them. I haven't finished the book yet. It has this whole philosophy and approach to dealing with life, and basically from what I've gathered from what I've listened to so far, when things that are happening or that people are doing that are out of your control, it's like you got to say let them, take a moment, breathe, and then say let me. Basically, what are the things that I'm responsible for? What can I take responsibility for in this moment? What kind of activities? What can I do? How can I change my thinking? How can I change my behavior? And it takes a moment to have awareness to be able to do that. And it's something that's what I'm working on. It's just like, get up in the morning, put the shoes on, put on the sweats, make my way to the park. One step at a time. Even though mentally I'm like, I'm a little tired, I'm a little sore from yesterday. But it's so funny because it's like, I literally had a thought yesterday that I reminded myself of in this moment, this morning, as I was like, do I want to go? Do I not want to go? Those thoughts are natural, and I embrace them. It's good to acknowledge whatever's going on. But the thought that I had yesterday was after I finished, before yesterday, I was actually not feeling as good as I feel today. I don't know what was going on. I was feeling really sluggish, low energy. But I still got up, went to the park, and by my own standards, it wasn't a stellar day. It was like a slow day comparatively. Like, I keep track of how fast what my pace is running or walking around, and it was like 12 minutes and 49 seconds per mile, which, for some people might be great, depending on where you are. But I know that I could at least walk 10 minutes and under. I think the fastest I've done a mile so far is like 9 minutes and 30 seconds. But, all that is just like, it doesn't matter. It's just like the things that I track, and I'm just like, what can I do personally? I'm not training to run a marathon yet or run a race. I'm only in competition with myself, but, they're just metrics to keep an eye on what's happening. So, yeah, yesterday I was not feeling 100%, but the thought that I had was, whoa, I was like, man, I wasn't feeling well when I left, but now on the walk back from the park, I was like, man, I feel so much better. I feel so much better than I did earlier that morning. And I was like, man, I got to remember. It's just like, I've been running 30, 60 days, but still, that reminder of like, oh yeah, this, I might be tired or sore right after initially, but minutes later, hours later, there's that moment where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I got my body moving and my heart rate up, and I feel good. And that's the thing, similar, connected to the thing that I was saying earlier about giving yourself time to acclimate to whatever new activity that you might be taking on, that you're not going to see success out the gate. It might even be uncomfortable, but give yourself that time. Just let the reward or success be going through the process. It's like the fact that I'm on my way to run or move, I've already won the day, no matter if it takes me 12 minutes to run a mile, 15 minutes, it won't take me 15, but you get the point. Basically, you know, showing up and taking those steps in the direction and setting your energy and intention to where you want to go and what you want to do and what you want to accomplish. It's important. And, you know, whatever tools or routines or ways that you need to find and develop that work for you, you know, it takes discovery. You could sample other things, sample people's morning routines or workouts, and see how people eat, carry themselves, how they show up. You know, whenever I see somebody who is vibrating at a certain frequency or has a certain energy about them, you know, that's when I like have conversations and try to pay attention and see where they're at mentally, where their habits are. But yeah, that's what's up. Happy New Year, happy 2025. Grateful for y'all who are taking a look. Please like, subscribe to the video if you made it this far. Thanks for watching all the way. I appreciate it. Grateful for another day. Let's make the most of it. Let's soak up each day while we're here and find ways to just keep taking steps to move in the direction of where we want our lives to be. What are the small things that we could do today that can just help us move forward a little bit towards our goals? Well, peace and see you soon.